Good afternoon everybody, good evening, good late afternoon, good evening. My name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Here am I sat in my living room on this lovely Thursday evening. The sun has been shining all day. It's been quite warm here in Medway, Rochester. It's been quite warm. I didn't go out for a walk this morning. I missed that. I missed my morning walk. I didn't go out for my walk this morning because I was tired. Also, I was expecting my 2-week shopping delivery, so I won't be getting another order like that for a while. Yes, I did treat myself to a Big Mac without the cheese in it, but I won't be doing that every day. I was actually starving. I haven't been eating very much. I had 2 baked potatoes in Wetherspoons. I didn't eat a dessert, and then I didn't eat very much else. I didn't have anything for breakfast this morning, not even an apple or a banana, nothing. So when it got to lunchtime I was really hungry. So because Deliveroo, when they delivered that shopping this morning very late, they gave me a £5 refund, and I got £5 off my McDonald's order. So an order that would have been nearly £20 was just over 10. I really did enjoy that McDonald's. It was very clean, it was very tasty, and I enjoyed it, but I won't be doing that every day. I've got myself apples. I got myself 2 easy peeler oranges, and I've got myself a pear. So, and I've also got a lot of salad, which I will put in ham sandwiches, or I'll put the salad with the food, because I don't cook heavy potatoes and chips with my dinners. I'll have a little salad with it. I've got to write my journal up today because it's important that I do, to keep up with what's been going on. I'm still being victimised and harassed, but I'm not taking any notice of it. I'm not being wound up or taking any notice of it. When the noise gets too much for me to bear, I walk out of the living room, I go into the corridor, I go into the bathroom, or I go into my bedroom, and I just breathe. And I count to 10, and then I come back in, and if they're still being noisy, I do it again. The guy upstairs is out at the moment. He's been out since 10 to 6 this morning. So it's now 5:15 in the evening. So he's been out all day. This harassment is happening to me. Right? So I didn't go out this morning. When it got to 2 o'clock, I had to go out. Max had to go out for a walk. He wanted to go to the toilet. He's a small dog, and he's really, really good. He doesn't make a mess. He's not a messy dog. He's not a dog that chews the furniture. He's not a dog that's naughty or anything like that. And he's smaller than a cat. So missing one walk this morning is not a big thing. I was absolutely knackered. I was really tired. So at 2 o'clock, I threw the McDonald's rubbish into the bin. One of the bins smells like rotten fish, like stinky prawns. Threw my rubbish in the bin. Walked out of the bin store, round the back of the flats, onto the fields. There was a couple sat on the bench. I walked round the back of the bench onto the field, and these guys, these homeless guys in tents, were on the field. Okay, There was one by the Mercedes-Benz building where they varnish and paint cars, and there was 2 tents right over the other side. And one of the guys was sat outside the tent, and his bicycle was against like a metal blocked off part of the field. After what happened to me last night, I just wanted to be left alone. I don't want to get into instances where I have to have altercations with people. So I walked through the grass away from the homeless people, and I walked onto the path, and I just let Max off and let him run about for as much as I could. And then it was a simple, I had no trouble this afternoon. Nothing, no incidences, no trouble, no one did anything. It was quiet. I did notice the lady outside the co-op talking to people, the one that I avoid like the plague. She talks to everybody. You know, when you first get to know her, you think it's only you that she talks to like that, but she talks to everybody the same. And she tends to talk behind people's backs, and I don't want to get involved in that, so I just stayed clear of her. She was talking outside the car, I stayed clear of her. When I came back off the field, she was gone. And it starts to get busy, but I was on my way back home and it really didn't bother me anyway. And I just kept to myself. And then I walked into the flats. And I went into the lift. I was feeling very, very tired. I went up to the first floor, got into my flat. And I thought, well, you know, I better start tidying up. So I started washing up. I had a sink full of washing up, and I'm still washing my clothes in the sink. Nothing's changed. I've still had no emails from social services, and I'm not going to hear from them now because it's the weekend at the end of tomorrow. So I just washed up, and then I started on the washing, and then the buzzer went, my buzzer, and you know, noises hurt my face, my jaw was pounding, it felt like it was on fire, and I've just been putting up with it. Like every so often I'll go to the sink and just put a sponge on my face. And the buzzer went, and I thought, who's that? I've not ordered anything, I'm not expecting anything in the mail, and if anybody wants me, family, they ring the phone first, they don't ring the buzzer. So I knew it wasn't anybody that I knew. So I looked at the buzzer, and there was this big black man, big black bloke with, I don't know if he had a cap on, but he had big headphones over his ears. And I went, hello. He went, it's your neighbour. Can you let me in, please? So I went, okay, yeah, I'll let you in. And then he rang my buzzer again to get into the middle entrance. Let him in. And then if he didn't have a key, he wouldn't have been able to get into the lift, and he wouldn't have been able to get through the door at the top. So I opened my door because I thought I'm going to have to let him in the the door if he hasn't got a key. But he was walking past my front door. It was a neighbour, he was walking past my front door. I just wondered how he got in without a key at the top of the building, that's all. And he went into his flat. He had big massive earphones on his ears. That's my neighbour upstairs stomping on the ceiling at 5:20. He's banging on the ceiling with his heavy feet. He can't park outside. There's a white car opposite my window. A white car, he can't park near me. So if the alarm goes off again, it won't be outside my property. No. If his car alarm goes off tomorrow morning, it won't be near my window. It's not there. So I let this bloke went into his flat, and I thought, are we going to get some noise now? Are we going to get some noise? And at the moment it's on and off, but it's not too bad, it's bearable. And like I said, when there is noise, I go into the other room. You expect noise up until 11 o'clock at night. You expect that, so I'm not going to kick off about that. The time I kicked off, it was past midnight. It was getting on for 2 in the morning. So I said I've got to start writing up in my journal. I've got to take Max for a walk this evening, and we'll see if I get any trouble this evening, because he's just come home upstairs. I've had no trouble this morning because I didn't go out with the dog. I had no trouble this afternoon. It was hardly anything or anyone about. Told you the post was a debt letter and a letter from Barclays Bank. My mum, I didn't speak to my mum today. No, because I'm tired and my head and ear is pounding, and I just didn't want any more of that. When he comes in, the neighbours start. The neighbours start when he comes in. So what I do is I put Alexa on, whether it's a film or it's the news. I've been watching all the things about the Pope Francis on Sky News. Things come up on my phone. This has happened. It's usually someone's passed away or something. It's quite alarming news all the time, and I try and keep myself in a positive frame of mind in these difficult times. And so I'm trying to now do more washing, and I should concentrate on tidying things up, getting rid of things, and carrying on as normal, and dealing with problems as they arise rather than worrying about them before they've happened, because that's another thing I tend to do. Worry about things before they actually happen, or think something's going to happen and it actually does. So I'm going to get off here later. I'm going to write in my journal what's happened today since this morning. And by the way, somebody kept ringing my Facebook again about 6 times. I put the phone on silent, so when they do ring it doesn't make a sound. Before he came in upstairs, I had about 6 or 7 calls of someone trying to annoy me on Facebook, and basically I just muted the phone, and it started to get noisy next door because I'm ignoring whoever it is. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player. Deadline. I have my own deadline, and we want it to be fast, and the Prime Minister is helping us. He wants it to be fast too. And I think everybody in this, at this time in NATO, they want to see this thing happen. So we have a deadline, and after that, we're going to have a very much different attitude. But I think that has a very good chance of getting done.
What can Norway do to prove that they're an important ally to the U.S.? What can Norway do?
Just keep doing what they're doing. We have a very good relationship with Norway. Great leader, great people. I know many of the people in Norway, and it's truly it's an incredible country. So all they have to do is keep doing what they're doing, I think, is probably the best answer I can give. Yes.
The former Secretary General of NATO is here.
Yes.
Stoltenberg, how important is the NATO defense alliance, Mr. President? Is it sacrosanct from your perspective?
Well, it's a very interesting question. It's certainly very important for Europe, and I think without us it wouldn't be as nearly as powerful. And as the former Secretary General, who did a great job, can tell you, I played when I was there a very big role in making sure that NATO is funded by the 28, at that time they had 28 countries, including us, because many of the countries weren't paid, and they ended up being paid, you would say, and the Secretary General was very nice about it as far as I was concerned. Other presidents went in, they made a speech and they left, and that kept going on, and in the meantime they had no money. And the United States was paying far more than its fair share. You could say that they were paying, I actually said sometimes it looked like 100%, and it was unfair. And the two of us worked very well together, and we took care of the situation.
There are some
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Some statistics are showing that the U.S. actually has a trade surplus with Norway. Are you going to be looking into that and see which of the countries are actually in a trade surplus?
Yeah, well, with the United States, almost everybody has a surplus.
But not so many.
It's really it's an amazing phenomenon. No, there's a surplus of a couple of $1 billion, I think you have with it. I congratulate you. That's very good. We're going to get a little bit of that for ourselves, maybe, but they do have a surplus. Norway has a surplus.
Let's see if there's one more on Ukraine.
Situation. Analysts have pointed out that the U.S. actually need allies. Do you consider Norway as a possible ally in this situation?
I think Norway's always been an ally. They've been somebody we've been very close to, very friendly with. Maybe more so now with me than other people, but I think Norway's always been a great ally, yeah. Norway's been a friend.
That's a very strange question, actually, because the US is our lead ally, and we build on a relationship which you talk about now, Mr. President.
Yeah.
It's of high relevance, and I'm very happy that we have Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense. So this is a very strong tie.
And it was a question about ally in the tariff situation specifically.
Tariff situation.
Yes.
Well, that's, we're talking about a little bit different subject then. We're talking about a different type of ally. No, in this case, he would be very much inclined to be an ally of Norway because he wants to make the best business deal possible. And Norway and the Norwegians are great business people. They're great traders. They're great, very smart nation, very well-managed nation. Has been for a long time, and in particular now with this leadership. But we'll be talking about trade and other things, and I think we're going to come to a conclusion very quickly.
The President of the United States eulogising there about Norway, absolutely reasonable given, in his own words, he knows many of the people in Norway. The substance on Ukraine-Russia is that both sides, the President says, needs to get to the table, that the war is ridiculous, but hanging over all of this is Donald Trump's own personal deadline, after which he's just said he will take a very much different attitude. We wait to see what that looks like. Any more we get from that head-to-head, the tete-a-tete at the top of the meal, we'll bring it to you on LBC. Let's come to your calls on what Ed Miliband faces over the electricity market. Peter's in Bishop Stortford on this. Peter.
Yes, hello, how you doing?
Sorry to keep you waiting, we have the President on.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to sort of understand, so before we get into this zonal and
Yes.
localised and everything. I'd just like to push the button around the actual way that we generate electricity and how that's priced in the UK and what the government is doing about that. So let me just explain.
Thank you.
Around about just under half of your bill is made up of wholesale prices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that part is made by the electricity generators generating the electricity for us. Now, what's happened is on a daily basis, on the day before, they go to the generators and say, we need 15 gigawatts tomorrow. And the generators all say, we'll give you 5, we'll give you 10, we'll give you 15. And this includes all the renewables, all the nuclear, and all the gas. Now, typically, the renewables and nuclear are at a much lower level of production than the gas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens is that there's a very historical pricing model that works the wholesale market. Now, what happens is that on this pricing model, it doesn't matter if electricity is generated by 80, 90% of wind. If 1% of that production is made with gas, everyone gets paid the gas price.
Correct.
Right, okay. So, now what's happened is since 2022, when we've had the Ukraine war and the price of gas has gone through the roof,
Everyone's bills have exploded.
our bills have exploded. Right. So, what the government then did at that point is the government said, everyone's bills have exploded and the electricity generators are making a very excess profit. Okay? And there's a piece of legislation around this that applies a levy to that excess profit.
Yes. Peter, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to, if I may, rush you like a spinning wind turbine, Peter, to your point.
Right, so the point is that we are paying this high wholesale market price, and then then the government is taking the levy, so approximately 5 billion a year is a number that I've been researching. So they're taking that from those generators. That's not coming back to us for our bills.
Yep.
That's the government taking that money. So that's excess profit. Why don't they just fix the pricing model as an average and everyone gets paid what they should?
Okay. Peter, I think that is the national repricing thing that Ed Miliband might be about to decide on. And you're right to say that the energy market, particularly if it's generated mainly by renewables, obviously that needs to be decoupled from the gas price, which is why our bills are so high at the moment. Tony says this, and I think this is an interesting point in this actually. Tom, I'm very excited about the free energy coming in the future, particularly on windy days. Perhaps it can all be free if we pay a £750 per month green levy on our bills. Ed Miliband is a genius. And I think there's something in that. You are subsidising the renewable energy market through your bills. If they are told, those people who are investing in it, the energy that you are going to be providing is basically going to be free to those customers, how are those people investing in it going to get paid? They're not. So you're going to keep subsidising them through your bill, so you will still keep paying. 03456060973. Tom Swarbrick here. Coming up.
These attacks, which are just awful, are a real human reminder of who is the aggressor here and the cost to the Ukrainian people. It's important that we get Russia to an unconditional ceasefire.
12 people killed in Russian strikes on Kyiv yesterday as Donald Trump says he thinks there will be peace in Ukraine. We'll have the details from the city after this. 5:31 headlines. Amelia Cox.
At least 12 people are now known to have died in airstrikes on Kyiv overnight, the Ukrainian capital's deadliest night since July 2024. Russia claims it hit defence targets, but Donald Trump has urged Vladimir Putin to stop. A high school student has been arrested after a stabbing near to Nantes in western France. 1 pupil died and 3 others were injured during the attack earlier. And the Vatican says more than 60,000 people so far have filed past the coffin of Pope Francis to pay their respects. He's lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica until his funeral on Saturday. LBC weather, rain moving into Northern Ireland and then western Scotland, cloudy elsewhere, lows of 1.
Ben Kentish from TED. Hear my full interview with Health Secretary Wes Streeting as he calls for more insight into men's health. Yes, that's obviously true.